Greetings, and once again, greetings, and welcome to all of you software suckers, audio freaks, video vandals, and of course, knowledge hunters out there. My name is Matt Cameron Ben Shepard, and this is the second part of the trilogy that we are making on the subject of logo animation. And very much like another trilogy called The Lord of the Rings, we will for sure see lots of magic appear in front of our eyes as we witness while we uncover the mythic secrets that lies within the Adobe After Effects software. And I'm not walking this glorious path alone, no, quite the contrary. Walking beside me is my dear friend, the one and only, the myth, the legend, the concept, one might say, the complete oracle. That is Christian Sennheiserman. Hello, Christian. How are you?
Hello, Matt. How are you? How are you, Matt?
I'm fine, thank you. And we should mention that your surname, your beautiful name, Sennheiserman, it's not related to the audio company Sennheiser.
No, that's correct. I have actually dabbled some in audio in the past. I have done some hobby projects and have often been, it's been a humorous situation when people have asked me, are you related to the microphone?
Yeah.
Haha, and jokes like that. But no, it's in fact a very old German name that stems from pretty old background. So.
Yeah, Sennheiserman. It sounds very similar. So, but a very warm welcome to you, and we are, of course, very proud to have you with us.
Thank you, Matt. And it feels. I have to say, it feels really great to be back. And I want to apologize to some of our Tutor Bros subscribers that has been asking week after week for a follow-up video. There has been some problem stemming from this pandemic that we're experiencing worldwide. That I'm sure
definitely
you had some problem with as well, Matt. If I'm correct.
We have had some issues regarding the pandemic, but let me just say that I am right now comfortably sitting here at the Tutor Bros HQ, that's short for headquarters here in sunny California in the Santa Monica office. So I'm actually quite happy right now. I will say, however, that the office is quite empty right now. I can see that's Eric sitting down the hall here. He's an accountant, but he's...
Is Eric there?
Hi, Eric.
Could you say hi to him from me?
Yeah, Christian says hi, Eric. No, he's got his headphones on, so can't really hear anything right now. But anyway, good to have you here, Christian. And just a quick personal question before we dive into this tutorial here. But how are things over at the Geardudez community? Any new tutorials coming up? Any new gear we should know about?
Well, I'm actually hard at cracking away at some tutorials right now concerning some new tools that actually came out just now this week in After Effects, or last week, as you should say. So there's some new tools I'm going over, and I have to say the response from the videos I've put out now during this pandemic has been, tremendous, really, and it's
overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, and it is amazing to see what you young people out there are creating. They're creating amazing stuff. I mean, stunning animations and videos.
So many wonderful videos out there.
And it feels good to be a part of that, to inspire this new generation of video makers and knowledge hunters to really, go out and make their name. So it feels good, Matt.
Yeah, a good shout out to all of these young followers in the Tutor Bros community who are just showing great promise. And my heart really gets pumping hard for those people who are making, I should say, those are the future of visual effects for sure. And makes me just overwhelming by joy here.
Yes.
And
but let's not forget the old wolf as well. There are still some battles to be fought, Matt. If I might say so.
The big bears are still in the cradle, and they will not get up for quite some time.
I'm joking, of course. I mean, shout out to all those people trying out there, doing their best, and I wish a happy future to them. But Matt, seeing as this is a quick tip for the logo animations, should we get started, or?
Well, as you say, this is a quick tip tutorial, and it will be packed with some of the most fleshy good tips for those of you out there who want to get a good start and just create a good logo animation, quick and effective, with some really meaty tips. I think that the goal with this tutorial, this is the part 2 of the trilogy, as I said, is for those of you who are getting into logo animation to just get the first steps going really fast and also implement them in your workflow so that you can create a logo animation fairly fast. I would say within 4 to 5 minutes. So that's the goal of this tutorial here, and we should really take off where we left the viewers on part 1 of this trilogy. And if I'm remembering this correctly, we created a composition, of course, and we entered the composition, and we were looking at the first thing that you are viewing as a After Effects producer, and that is the black background, which is in fact transparent, as we discovered. So we should really go ahead and just double click on the After Effects icon here to load up the software. So let's dive right into it. So we are firing up Adobe After Effects, and this is of course the 2020 version. And which number in the sequence version is that? Now again, Christian here. Is it 17 or 16?
Well, this is actually. Let me go ahead and open up Creative Cloud for you. Now we're gonna go through
just a quick look at the version history so that the viewers are aware on what we are looking at.
Because there are actually some important stuff you need to know. So if you see After Effects here, we are at 17.5.
Yeah, 17.5. That is
for those who haven't already updated to 17.5. I will say there was a problem with the last version, that is 17.4. Yeah. That was actually...
I read about that.
Yeah, that's a very buggy version. It was crashing all the time, and I had actually direct contact with the Adobe team about this, and, you know, the pandemic makes problem for all of us, you know. We're all going through hard times, and they were, as I heard it, understaffed at the moment, trying their best, cracking away, night and day, you know, trying to fix this. And what came out was this wonderful version 17.5, which also features some new stuff, which we're gonna do another video about shortly, about some new fantastic tools.
Just great stuff to look upon, and we don't want to slam down, of course, on the Adobe development team, because we truly love those guys over there. And as you say, the pandemic is it's a tough suit to get on for all of us. I mean. But as you say, once the mouse is in the trap, you better not let the cat go out strolling, because
that's right.
You need to get your version numbers going, and they did a great job doing that.
It's a beautiful number.
Well, the hen is certainly out of the cage, and the fox is out of the way. So this version should really be, as far as I'm concerned, this is the best version so far. So let's dive right into it. And we are continuing on where we left off on part 1 of this tutorial trilogy. And that is, in fact, we are opening up the project that we were working on. That is the project with the name Logo Tutorial Tutor Bros Matt Christian 2020 version 1. And let's just mention once again, the last time, of course, that keeping in mind that a long version number or a long project name, of course, is essential for the workflow, for the structure of your computer file system, and just ensuring that you will not get entangled with your file names later on. So keep in mind to creating a long project names is actually a good idea, and that goes, of course, for the composition names as well, Christian.
That's correct. All right, let's open up this project. So we're just gonna actually, as you can see, you have the most recent project appears here in this little start home video that pops up. So we're actually just gonna click this now, and here we are.
There we go. So this is where we left off last time, and we are looking at the transparent background that is completely empty void of nothingness. In fact, we experimented some with this last time, and for those of you who are confused about what you're looking at when you're opening up a new composition, you should really take a look at part 1 of the logo animation tutorial sequence that we did last time, because it explains a lot actually, and this is could be confusing for a lot of users. We've seen a long line of young users asking about this. What is this? What can I do with this? Is this a solid? No, it's in fact not. It's just a background. But Christian, today we are creating our logo to animate.
That's correct, Matt. And can I also, before we actually get started, when you're opening up a project again and you're going to make some changes and stuff, it's always good to save another copy of the project. That's why we have version 1 in the name.
So true.
Today we're actually gonna use a kind of a less known function, which is super helpful, and it's super quick and it's super easy, and it's up here in the file menu. So up in the left corner you have file, which is, I don't know why it's called file. I think it's an old,
It's an old hierarchy structure of naming.
Yes.
It's left from the early 2000s, I believe. But nonetheless, it's still called file.
And if you actually click file, you have, your usual options up here that I'm sure a lot of our users are familiar with. It's, new, open project, you can close and save. Yeah. But there's this little button here, increment and save.
That's very interesting, and also the quick key command it's quite a long one, but it's very similar to the save quick command.
Yes,
key.
It needs you to use all of the control, the alt, and the shift key in combination with S. So
S as in save, of course.
Yes, as in save. I'm assuming it's a save as in Control S, which stands for Control Save.
Yeah. Well, some users have actually been arguing that it stands for secure because you are securing your work, but it could stand for either way.
You could do your own interpretation. That's fine. As long as you know what what you use it for, so you can be efficient with it. You can call it, Ziegenheiser. I don't really care. You do it your way. You do it efficient.
Well, you cut your trees either way you want, with the scissors or with the saw.
That's correct.
Either way it goes in. It goes in the pan. So.
That's correct, Matt. Okay, so we're actually gonna press this button now. Now, Matt, I want you to actually watch the project name that's up at the top of the window.
Yeah. Did
you see that?
I actually did not. What happened there?
It actually says now version 2.
So this is a way of ensuring that you have different versions that you can backtrack upon if you are for some reason wanting to go back and see what happened.
We can now open version 1 and we will have this clean slate with the composition all ready for us, and we can get doing changes from that point on. So
this is for those audio freaks out there who are using Logic Pro. This will be a similar function to the alternative function that is incorporated in Logic Pro, where you can actually save different alternatives of the same project.
Very helpful. And I want you to notice here that the composition name hasn't actually changed. So the composition name is still version 1. So we can actually, we can leave it like that for now. That's actually another step we could take. But since this is a quick tip and we're gonna actually get started with a logo, I'm gonna leave that for another video, and leave some comments on the video if you would like some help with that right away, and we'll of course get back to you.
I think that I will be the first to leave a comment because I'm very curious about diving into the version name of the composition name. So, but we are, as you say, in a quick tip tutorial, so let's dive right into it. And we are now creating our logo to be, of course, animated, since this is the trilogy of logo animation we are looking at. So, Christian, the first step of creating a logo would be what in this case?
Well, I think a good first step is actually to create some text, because today we're going to create a logo that's mainly consistent of text. We might be using an image of sorts, also perhaps a shape in the end. We'll see. It's a creative process creating a logo. So these steps that we are showing you aren't actually, follow these from A to D to get your result. These are guidelines and helpful ways to use your creative process to create something unique.
Yes, they should be viewed as an inspiration.
For sure.
And we are not now, this should be fairly important to mention here, that we are not actually creating a logo from vectors or anything like that. This is just one of the simplest way of creating a logo is, of course, just using the text tool as we are doing here. So for those of you who are interested in logo creation, there will be another tutorial, and we are in fact in the making of one right now. We are using the famous Tutor Bros logo to show you guys how to create a nice looking logo using vector design in Adobe Illustrator. But that will be another tutorial that's in the making right now. So Christian, let's create the logo type.
Yes, and so the first step here is to create a text, and the easiest way to create the text is to use the text tool. So up here you have a menu which consists of several tools. You have the hand tool, the zoom tool, you have this pan behind tool, or the anchor point tool as I call it. You have some shape tools here, and here you actually have the horizontal type tool. So type here actually means text. So this is important to understand, that sometimes text here can be referred as type. And what you actually do is you click this, and you can actually use this tool to kind of draw a rectangle. So you click, you hold, and there we are.
And there we are. So this is now the bounding box for any text that you would write. Is that correct?
That's correct, Matt. And this is not a shape, and this is not, some sort of... This little line that we see here will actually not be visible in the final composition, or in the final rendering.
This will not be visible.
That's correct.
No.
So now can I use our keyboard and write whatever our heart desires? So,
well, let's, for the sake of this tutorial, just write Tutor Bros.
Yes, that sounds good, Matt. Okay, so I'm now writing Tutor space Bros.
Tutor Bros. And then to finish off the writing, you simply press the command and the enter key to be done with the typing, so to speak.
That's correct, Matt. I will say I actually didn't know that, Matt. So that's a very helpful tip. Thank you.
That's a good.
I usually actually just click outside, but
sure, that's another way of doing that.
That's very impressive.
But, for the sake of workflow, key commands is, I would say, walk or running is like those are the options in life. And for me, I tend to go with a letter alternative.
You really do, Matt. I will say.
And when referencing in the Adobe world, that is key command shortcuts.
You really are. You really are the running man. If I might reference the old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, which was a popular hit.
Speaking about visual effects, what a movie!
That's a good movie to check out, you young people out there, if you want to see some old school effects.
Yeah, I'm talking about the old wolves again here. I'm betting that you and me are indeed one or two of the old wolves.
I know a few people who worked on that movie, if I could say so. It's pretty amazing stuff. But let's not get caught in that. What actually happened here? So, can you actually see the text, Matt?
No.
That's correct, because it's so small.
So why is this a pre-setting for text sizes? I mean, this is way too small for the eye to look upon.
Yes,
right now.
and I will say this is not actually a presetting. This is it's remembering the last use setting. So if we head over here, I have selected the character tab here.
Looking at the character box.
And character here is not referring to some kind of character you have in your project, like a human being or like a little piggy maybe or something. Character here is actually the text. So again,
it's referring to the text settings, yeah, because as you said, it could easily be confused as a part of the animator world, one might say, when you're animating characters. But this is a text reference.
That's true, and that's because it's referring to characters of text. So A is a character, B is a character, C, D is a character, and E, F, and so on. G is a character.
So on until the whole
alphabet. So there's a lot of characters, and that's why they're called characters. So
sure.
If you have your text layer, also down here, if you can see in the left here, we have our layers. This is our layer field. And I'm sure a lot of our users are familiar with this, but for the sake of this tutorial, I will give a quick overview here. So you have the layer name here, and it says source name, but it actually means layer name. And the layer name for this is now Tutor Bros. So that's what we wrote in the text field, which becomes the layer name for this.
It automatically chooses the layer name in regard to what you wrote in the text.
That's correct.
But that is the default function, and of course you can change this later on if you are confused by this.
But
there's always a standard procedure, as you say, and I mean you have to have the dog in the doghouse before you can let out the cats. That is the way to start off anything. So a big shout out to the Adobe development team once again for just this is something that we don't speak about this often enough, but those tiny little details that make this software work so perfectly.
It's amazing.
This is exactly one of those functions.
It's amazing. I mean, these functions it makes me wake up happy every day to know that these functions exist for us to use, you know, to make our lives easier. So big shout out to the Adobe team, of course. I respect them. They're good people, and they work hard, you know.
Cred where credit is due, right? Cred where credit is due, and those guys
absolutely
they earn to me all the credit in the world, and just big love.
All right, big love. With the layer now selected, we're gonna head back to the character tab, and we're gonna actually look at this little thing, because this is the size, and this is what we now want to increase.
There we go, and those are specified in pixels, of course.
Yes,
it's
px pixel.
I would say the standard way of looking upon sizes and endpoints is pixels. So let's go with that.
That's correct. And so we can actually do this several ways. We can click this, and we can punch in the numbers. So
let's go and try 120 pixels just to see what the change would be from 20 to 120.
All right, Matt. Let's see. 1, 2, 0, and I'm gonna punch enter. Now we have a bit larger text, and I'm gonna say, Matt, that's actually kind of a good size for a logo. It's looking pretty good, actually.
But it's quite hard to see the logo now, because since the logo is white and we are looking at a transparent background, this is a problem when trying to figure out what to do with the logo, of course.
That's correct, Matt. And as you remember from the last tutorial, and I think our viewers remember if you watched part 1, there's actually this little handy button down here, which is called Toggle Transparency Grid. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in transparency, go ahead and watch part 1. But for now, we're just gonna actually click this, and there we go.
And there we have the black standard background in the composition back. And let's remind everyone that this is not, in fact, a black solid that we are looking upon. This is, in fact, just a black background it's incorporated within the Adobe After Effects world.
That's correct, Matt.
It's just a part of the background standard. So this is a good start for a logo, and I think that for the sake of this quick tip tutorial, let's go ahead with the font Arial Black. It's actually one of my favorite fonts anyway, so I'm quite pleased with the selection you've made here.
I think it's looking great as well, Matt. And this is a fine. You know, you can choose a funny font to start with. You can choose, you know, Comic Sans or something like that. You know, something that makes you laugh a bit. But I think when you're actually starting from the ground up, choose something neutral, something that's clear, something that just says what it is, and that means you can actually, you know, work from that.
Very true. It's easy to be, I would say, blinded or confused by the font you are using. Instead of just dabbling around with strange-looking fonts, put the work where the work is supposed to be put. Put the work in the animation. As I always say, the work is in VFX. The work is not within the extras.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly right. That's my philosophy as well, and I think that's the Tutor Bros philosophy. I think that's why we work so well together, Matt, and why it's such a pleasure to do these videos with you. I mean, it feels like we really connect there. But you know, let's go ahead and actually move this font to the middle of the composition.
That would look better. And while you do that, let me just say that, as I mentioned before, working with VFX, it's important to put your focus where focus is meant to be, and I always say that one nicely made VFX is worth 1,000 words, and one nicely made logo is worth 100 fonts. And what I mean by that is you cannot overlook the fact that a beautifully arranged animation or motion is worth so much more than just a nice looking font. And that's why I say 1,000 words is more worth than 100 fonts. And I actually stand by that every day in my life.
That's very philosophical, Matt, and I appreciate it.
Well, sometimes you need to be. Sometimes you need to be.
For sure. I mean, I would say a lot of VFX and video work is, contrary to what people think, is a very philosophical nature in it, you know. And a lot of people I meet are very into, you know, yoga and lifestyle and dreaming and stuff like that. So
they are very intertwined, the worlds of VFX and inner growth, I would say. And I'm also a yoga man myself, so I'm not ashamed to say that I start every day with a little yoga and a little VFX, and then the soul is fulfilled. That's my way of living.
Should we move the logo to the middle, Matt?
That is what I would prefer, and I know that there are lots of people out there who are just keeping their logos on top, bottom, left, or right. But when it comes to symmetrically perfection, I'm always I'm a centered kind of guy. So vertically and horizontally centered. Let's do it. Let's
All right.
Dive right into it. We are centering the logo, and the easiest way of centering a logo is actually by using the Align tools.
We're gonna press the Align button now, the Align tab, sorry.
Yes.
So,
Align tab.
we have a lot of options in here.
There we go. This is the tab that I'm hovering over, so to speak, 95% of the time. It's one of the most useful tabs I've seen in any Adobe software.
It's a great tab, and can I also say I mean, I won't say it's my favorite tab, but it's my top 3 tab for sure. I mean,
it's actually my top 2 tab.
Oh, it is?
I won't say right now what the other one is, but let me say that the Align tab is in the top 2 sections.
It is amazing, Matt. It really is amazing. So we're gonna show you the 2 most popular here are, of course, these middle ones. So this says Align horizontally, and horizontally means left to right.
Left to right.
That's correct, right? Okay. So we're gonna press this with our layer selected. We're gonna press this.
And the viewers won't really see anything happening because the logo was in fact already aligned to
it actually jumped just a little bit to the left.
A little bit.
So now it is actually centered left to right in the middle, but it's still
100%.
up. You know, it's still up too much.
Well, it's in the top section more than it is in the centered section.
That's correct. That's correct. That's a good way to put it, Matt.
It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed.
All right. So now we're going to use another button in here. So this is a 2-step operation. We're actually going to go to this button over here. Align vertically. And vertically is contrary to horizontal. It means up to down.
Up to down, or it's actually on the Y. If you're familiar with the X and Y way of looking at things, this is actually
that's a whole other tutorial, Matt.
So
I don't think we should dive into that right now.
For the advanced users, I'm just mentioning to the, and if you're not familiar with the X and Y way of looking at positioning, please Google it for now, and we will of course make another tutorial about positioning.
Yes.
That comes later.
Okay, so we're not gonna press this Align vertically button. So let's watch what happens when I do so. Isn't that beautiful?
And in an instant, it moved. This is and the perfection is it's hard to comprehend the perfection of the positioning here.
Can you see that? It is perfectly aligned. Perfectly
aligned. And of course, we're looking at letters here. We have a big T, small u, etc., a big B. And the software needs to calculate where is the center point in this, where's the center in the object, and of course in relation to that, where is the center point in the composition. And in relation to that, I can also say that if you look closely at the Align tab, there is a drop-down menu which is called Align Layers 2, and we have selected, of course, composition because we want to align the objects in reference to the size and shape of the composition. That is why this works so perfectly. There are other options, but we will not get into those options now.
That's correct. Okay, so we're gonna take another look at the character tab now. We have our text centered, and as you mentioned, there are some, you know, the R is looking a bit like it's not aligned. That's because it's a lower letter. It's not a capital letter. There is actually a button for this. So this is just a little quick tip. This is just something quick for you users, because this is very useful. There's actually this little symbol here, which is 2 big T's down here. Can you see that? This is called all caps.
All caps.
That's correct.
Very useful option.
So we're gonna press this.
Very useful.
Looks much better to me.
This to me is a logo. No doubt in my mind. This is a total. Just it makes me think that this is a professional created logo. And in a way it is, because you are a professional and you created the logo, so this could actually be sold.
Yes,
right off the
actually,
bat.
Matt, I've several logos like this I have actually sold several logos like this in the past, where people have asked for something simple, because sometimes, you know, simplicity is key. Sometimes
simplicity
you don't need
is key.
shadows, you don't need a lot of colors. You could use something simple and make a happy customer and get a returning customer and keep getting those jobs, you know? And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. And when you're not sure what to do, go with caps. I always say this to my students and to my co-workers. Perfectionist caps is another quote that I've been heard to phrase many times. But go with caps is, I think it's one of my catchphrases, and this is not coming from me, of course. This is coming from
I've heard,
people who know
I've
me.
heard it lots of times, Matt. Trust me.
Just go with caps.
Go with the caps. That's old Matt. That's for sure.
Yeah. So this is looking good.
This is looking great, and this might be a good ending point for this part of the tutorial, actually.
Well, it's a great ending point. We have the logo created. It's all in caps. Go with caps. And we have a great looking composition here, and we are actually moving on to the very final steps of this tutorial, which of course is the animation of it all. And the quick tips are closing in, as you say. The quick tips are pouring out, and we are soon we're soon out of quick tips, as you say, and the quick tips are running out. And this is, I would say, if we have given out 10 or 12 quick tips, we have, I would say, 3 or 4 quick tips left, and they will be packed in the part 3 of this tutorial. Is there anything else we should say before leaving the viewers wanting and longing for the part 3 of this tutorial?
I mean, like and subscribe this video, of course. Hit that bell button, and thank you so much for watching this video. It's been, I have to say, for me personally, it's been such a release doing this video. It has been a bit lonely here during the pandemic, I will say, and it has been, very nice doing this with you, Matt. You're a real godsend in that way, and I think this has been a very knowledgeable video and a good way to get your logo right away in your composition, and it's gonna be extremely interesting to get this moving in the next episode, because that's really where it starts to come alive.
Of course, and I'm a big fan of learning, and I'm just on the path of lifelong learning here, and I must say that learning with you, Christian, is almost a religious experience for me. and I'm also, in fact, very lonely here in Santa Monica, although I'm sitting here at the Tutor Bros headquarters with Eric over there. But nonetheless, I am lonely, and it's been a very releasing to make this video with you, and also very knowledgeable. I feel actually that I've learned a lot during these minutes with you, making this part 2 of the trilogy on logo animation. I'm very happy to have you on board on the team here, and I so much wish that we could actually meet in person one day, but that is not the case, and will probably not be for a very long time. So I think that the way here moving forward is to make lots of good tutorial videos, spreading them out via the Tutor Bros world. And I'm very curious to see what Geardudez are cooking up over in Europe. I think the internet is in need for more Geardudez material, and I'm hoping that you have some time to do that in the midst of all your other projects, Christian. I really hope so.
Thank you, Matt, and all the best luck to Matttech, and I hope you will get some new material up there soon.
Well, Matttech is always up and going, and we actually have a new video coming out. It's about the new tools that are coming out in the Adobe Illustrator world. Very interesting features.
Exciting.
Yeah, and we're also doing a special on the Adobe development team. Those guys are in need of more fame, to say the least. So thank you, Christian, for this part 2 of the trilogy that we are making, and I want to say that to all of you knowledge hunters and video vandals, software suckers and audio freaks out there, stay tuned, and do not worry, there will be a part 3 coming out very soon. So have a good time, everybody, and let's see you soon in the world of knowledge.
Thank you, bye!